I just wanted to point out real quick in the editing mode here that for this week's episode of the Server Adventure Vlog, I have almost 3 hours of footage, over 100 gigabytes, versus the mere 14 minutes of raw footage that I had for last week. So it's going to be fun editing this, but I think you all are really going to enjoy what goes on. Alright, hello and welcome to another server rack adventure vlog. Today I am hopefully transplanting my original render server I built last year in the Renderthon competition into an actual server chassis to put in the rack. It's gonna be crazy. So I've unplugged everything from on top of the server, all the different NAS devices and things like that, so I can try to carry that upstairs. It weighs a ton, mainly because of the hard drives, but upstairs is the only table space I have to work on this. Already went ahead and unboxed my Rosewill server chassis. Gonna try to fit it in here. Everything's manually screwed in instead of using thumb screws like on normal computer cases. It's going to be a nightmare, but it's gonna be fun, hopefully. We will see. I also need to dust it out because, as you can see, it's been serving me quite well, but it's gotten pretty gross. Alright, so I have the case up here and open, and I'm actually still very impressed with this build. It's not anywhere near as dirty or old looking as I expected, and I'm just really happy with how it overall turned out. This was a really fun little project, and I really think the end result is quite nice.
I could do this all day.
So before I take it apart, I think I'm going to use this as an opportunity to get a little bit of B-roll, if I can, of the insides before I transplant it, because this just looks like a freaking awesome computer. That's gonna be a problem. No. Cat hair plus computer. Can't be doing that. I would be super proud. One day I'm gonna build another dual Xeon, a modern one. Whenever I reach YouTube fame, or whatever, and build me another dual Xeon computer, because that would be freaking awesome to have this as your main rig with a windowed side panel and everything. So we have all these drives in it currently, but I do have a couple I could add if I wanted. We're going to be ditching the 5 1/4 inch bays, just going with the 3 1/2, obviously, because that's all the 5 1/4 inch bays are actually used for hard drive storage here. And these are non-hot swappable, so I actually have to take these cages out, mount the hard drives, and then slide them back in. That's going to be fun. My main concern for right now is just getting the motherboard planted in, making sure it actually fits. It's just right at the maximum, and then seeing what quiet fans we could try to salvage, because these are just straight raw Molex connectors to run at 100%, and they're going to be super loud, and I don't necessarily want that. I don't have a lot of spare Noctuas at the moment though, and I don't have any Noctuas for these tiny ones, so maybe an upgrade for later if it's too loud. And also, one of the feet broke off whenever I was moving it a couple months ago. That's how much this thing weighs in this case. This rubber feet, which is screwed on and glued on and all sorts of stuff, just completely broke through the plastic. The screw stayed on, but the plastic just completely ripped out. And so it's been sitting on 3 feet for quite a few months. It's time to give this bad boy some rest. Look how clean all that is. I am impressed. Alright, so this is where I am stopping for the day. I've got some other stuff I need to do. I'm getting really hot in here. It's starting to heat up despite only being February. But this is the progress I've made. I have transplanted the main motherboard, CPUs, and expansion cards from the old case into the new server chassis. And it's a tight fit, given how big the 12x13 eATX motherboard is, but it fits. Now, a glaring problem, which is one I knew of before starting here, is the CPU heatsinks here are bigger than the 4U case. Now, in theory, I could try to break off a fin and bend these down and hope I don't leak out whatever gas or liquid's supposed to be in here, but that would be stupid. And I knew about this ahead of time, I just didn't have the money to immediately buy coolers. I knew this was going to be a long-ish term project compared to just building it and setting it. So I will be ordering some shorter coolers soon, which should also play nicer with this security bar. It's going to go through here. But I got the graphic card, USB card, SATA expansion card, and then I swapped out, I'm not putting the sound card in, but I did put back in the Mellanox 10 gigabit Ethernet SFP Plus card that I had from that project last year. Now, in the other case, this one, I had the idea of using these extra expansion slots and using a PCI riser from this backwards extra PCIe 1X slot down there. Where's it at? Down there. But I don't have the slots here, so I'm honestly not going to mess with it. I don't have enough expansion cards anyway. But I/O, motherboard, all in there. Power supply fits, ran the main motherboard and CPU and VGA power cables, and then we'll have to really tightly wind cable management around these and get that going during the next session. But I'm just going to put the lid on it so the cat doesn't shock anything and be done for now. Alright, at long last, I was finally able to get the CPU coolers. So we're going to unbox one of these, and then we can move forward with the build. They are Noctua NH-D9DX. These are 3U Intel CPU coolers. It says LGA 2011. On the website it said 1366, so hopefully these fit. Let's go ahead and figure out what's in the box here. Usually the CPU coolers I have used are ones that I have opened or used before. I've not actually used or opened these before. Never really had a need for short CPU coolers until now. Alright, so in the box we probably get an accessories box and the cooler. I'm assuming, if I can... There we go. So, box, accessories, hey. Alright, this is actually pretty cool. This is like a mini NH-D14 or D15, which is the coolers that I used in my main builds. So, or in my original AMD builds that I did before I got my 6900K build. It's just like a short little mini version. It's kind of cute. I like it. Alright, so that's what we got in the box, and then we get mounting brackets, thermal compound, extension cable, mounting Allen key, and instructions. It's got brackets for square and narrow. Alright, should be fairly straightforward. I don't know if I have square or narrow though. I just kind of, for my Hyper 212s, I just kind of grabbed some and threw them on there. I also need to make sure I still have my thermal compound remover chemicals, or else I still can't proceed. And hey, here we are. Big bag of nasty, smelly goodness. And a lot of thermal compound, too. And since I'm not going to be using these Noctua fan or these coolers for anything anytime soon, I'm going to clean up and take off the Noctua fans and replace these other 120mm fans so it stays a little quiet. I realize normal enterprise server environments do not give two craps about noise levels, but I do. I'm working inside my own office studio and I need it to remain pretty freaking quiet. You know, I'm just realizing I needed to install special backplates for these Hyper 212s. So if I need to remove them for the new coolers, I'm hoping I don't have to, but if I do, I installed this whole motherboard the other day for no reason. Big waste of my time. Cooler number 1, off. That was a pretty even spread. I not bad. Possible this may go back right there. I don't know. This is just going to be a fun game of trial and error. Always the best kind of videos. I have no clue if the mounting spacers that are already in this machine are going to work. No clue if the back plates are going to work. I have no clue if the mounting hardware for these coolers are apparently going to work, since it only says LGA 2011. That one got much dirtier than the other cooler. Weird. Thermal compound remover time. This stuff is foul. It's like very strong rubbing alcohol. Thermal compound remover. I've had this for years. Served me very well. Camera's not going to focus on it. That's okay. And after. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for this purpose. Alright, now we return to the question of will this just set on here and fit? That answer would appear to be no. Like, even if it's screwed in a little bit, I've only got a tiny amount of threads here. And so there's still a pretty big gap above the CPU. The overall size is right. Also, to anyone using this cooler, there's a cardboard thing you kind of need to remove here. Did not see that at first. Alright, yep, I gotta remove the entire motherboard from this case again. God damn it. I think I need to attach the CPU coolers directly to these bolts. That is not going to be fun. And the back plates here also are what basically holds the mounting plate in. So this is going to be a nightmare. Haha! I have found the solution that I need in the Hyper 212 Evo cases. And then I dropped them. These are shorter standoffs to go back into that back plate instead of the really tall ones that I had before. That is what I was missing. That's what this needs to screw into. I can make this work. Alright, so I had it right the first time. I need to swap the silver screws out for the black ones. They're long enough and screw in properly, and everything should be peachy from there.
3 hours later.
Alright, we have our first cooler installed. Airflow going towards the rear. Wound up being pretty easy once I figured out how to swap the screws, and that I needed the original back plates, which I'm so glad I kept, instead of the ones that came with the Hyper 212 Evos that I was using before. I had assumed that the original ones would not be used by anything, but that's the only ones that the new cooler will screw into. So I have to reattach the original back plates, which is a little complicated because the mounting bracket screws into that as well. But once I reattach the old plate, worked out great.
I could do this all day.
Alright, at long last, CPU coolers swapped. Now I'm going to swap out some of the fans in the chassis here, and we should be on our way, finally. dear Lord. Okay, so the main part of the build is finally done. So in case I didn't call it out before, this is the Rosewill RSV-l4500. A few people on the /r/home/homelab subreddit have been using this. So overall, it's a pretty good case. It's pretty sturdy, and once I put the crossbar back here, it'll be even sturdier. You can hold 4, 8, 12 drives, I believe, in here. Maybe, no, 15. I don't remember. You can hold, I think it was like 18 or 15 drives in here. I was just barely able to run all my SATA and SATA power cables through here. Cable management is like not an option in here, which it's a server case, it shouldn't matter, but keeping everything out of the way of the fans is very important and problematic. I'm gonna have to tie all these up and just hide them in this little corner there, but that's like all I can do. So I swapped out the 2 side fans with Noctuas, and then just that one. I hear the noise in this isn't too bad. We'll see though. Molex is the worst ever fucking power connector ever invented. So that took me like the longest just to get the Molex running, and since I need SATA down here and Molex up here, I had to run a Molex strand, hook the fans up, and then use an adapter to go to the SATA for the USB card. And so that's just a nightmare. Like, that's awful, but there's nothing I can do about it. Since they're Molex fans, in theory, they're always going to be running at 100%, so I'm very scared to see how loud they are. But I'm going to get cables tied up a little bit, and then I'm going to pull a monitor up here, and we're going to do a test boot. It should have an operating system loading off the solid-state drive that I just kind of shoved in there, and we should hopefully be on our way. So I filled up all but one of the SATA 2 ports on the board, and then used all 4 SATA 3 ports on my PCI card. So assuming that weird, funky PCI slot works, everything should just boot right up, but we'll see. Oh yeah, also I have no idea if those pins for the power switches, the LED indicators, there's even LED indicators for the NICs. I have no clue if they're in the right order. Same thing with the USB. It only gave me half the USB pin, so I had to just slide them on there. Usually I get a block with that whole USB pin out, and it looks like it only uses the bottom 4 pins for each of the 2 front USB ports. And then those aren't labeled at all. I had to look up a manual, and it seemed like they were kind of reversed. Like there were 2 options for the pinouts, and they were both reversed. So we'll see if the power buttons even work here. Alright, moment of truth time number 2. I tried it the first time, and power button didn't work, so I'm assuming I had to switch the pins backwards, so hopefully it works now. Power on. USB front lights blinking. It's not turning itself on. It used to do that. Power button. Nothing.
You triggered my trap card!
That was terrifying, but I have no clue what it would have been. Something just sparked out of here. I don't know if I got that on camera. It turned on, and it's booting, but the spark was like somewhere around here. USB still has a light. No clue how the Mellanox is doing. That might have died. Hopefully the SATA is not dead. Those fans aren't on at all. GPU's working. It's not finding OS. That could be for many reasons. CPU fan. Those fans. These appear to be running. That was terrifying though. I don't know if it was just dust that was conducting or what. I don't normally get sparks. Nothing sizzled, nothing burned, nothing smoked. Just a couple sparks and they're gone. Not finding an OS though, so I do have to go through the BIOS. These are not spinning at all. They need to be spinning. Oh, shit. Oh, that smells real bad. Damn it.
Oh, shit.
Yep,
Now I'm really pissed off.
the Molex to SATA adapter. These cheap pieces of shit just blew up my USB. Oh, it smells real bad. Ugh.
Making bacon.
That's definitely what sparked last time. These fans still aren't spinning, so I'm honestly concerned that it screwed up the Molex connections or something. Oh, that's sulfur. Alright, I gotta get that out of there right now. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm assuming that's part of the problem right there. You can see something's like all melted and jacked up. Looked like the smoke and spark came from around here. Damn it, these aren't the cheapest cards in the world either. This is a full 5-port. I've got a 7-port, I think, in my other desktop. These are not cheap. That fucking sucks.
Time for a reboot.
And it's most likely these stupid adapters that's to blame. Molex is the worst piece of shit in the world. I actually had one of these melt on me once just to hook up to a CD drive. Like the entire part bubbled and it just melted. It was disgusting. Nothing else better have gotten damaged. Because I'm still not getting these fans to power on. It smells really bad. I'm assuming that's what the problem is. That's the only reason I can think of it. Nothing else seems to have a problem. And I've had a problem with those adapters before. Hopefully the PCI slot's fine. Hopefully everything else is fine. Now to see if these fans will spin. Or if anything else sparks, I guess, when I turn it on. We'll see. Alright, everything else powers on. These fans still aren't going. I'm going to see if I can find another Molex adapter or make it reach or something. I don't know. But these back fans still aren't kicking in.
3 hours later.
Alright, I took out this Molex adapter. It didn't even it's not even for this power supply, but I assumed the hookup would be the same. And instead I just stretched one of the hard drive ones over there and split them off of each other. And now when I turn it on, they come on too. So that's good. Airflow's good. Does add a bit of noticeable volume. As far as I can tell, all the other fans are working. Nothing else is sparking. So now we'll mess with the BIOS and try to get the operating system to boot back up with 9 drives hooked up at once. Actually, it's quite quiet now once it's like actually running. It's just that initial boot up that winds up and gets really loud. Right now it's totally tolerable. I don't know what button to hit. Haha! We have success! Success! Hallelujah! Oh.
Now this is a force to be reckoned with.
Well, that's not good. I have no clue why, but it just shut down once it got to Windows. Could that be a Windows problem? Could it be a hardware problem? Could it be a short somewhere? Could it be any unlimited number of possibilities? Why, yes. Yes, it could. Thank you for noticing. Alright, let's look at core temp 40s. I can live with that. Thermal paste job wasn't the best. I actually used the wrong cleanup material. High 30s, low 40s. Alright, let's call it a day. Time to pack up this likely super heavy thing, try to get it downstairs, clear out some rack rails because this is going to go close to the top with 3U above it. That way I can put some of my NAS units and external hard drives on top. and try to get this baby rack mounted. It does not have rails. It does not even have a system for rails. It only has these flags at the front. That makes me nervous. But all the weight's in the front for the hard drives. We'll see. So far it's running and not shutting down. I'm just going to try to trust it, and I'll run some stress tests once it's in there. It's way quieter than my Power Edge, so I'd much rather be running this than the Power Edge. So, the R410. So, let's get this hooked up and ready to go. We do have some Das blinking lights for hard drive or for power, and the NICs. I'm assuming hard drives would run too. I'm not sure. I don't like those. We'll see.
Thank you so much to Kingston for sponsoring this series by providing EposVox with his ECC memory, which keeps his build stable and secure throughout the entire rendering process. Visit the link in the description to learn more.
Alright, for my NAS and external hard drives, I need the top 4 U of space, apparently. 7 inches. The top 4 U of space to stack them on, and then the chassis is 4. So I gotta pull these rails out, which I don't know how to do. They came with the rack. It's gonna be fun. And then at some point I'll have to move the terminal because... Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, yeah, because I won't be able to open it unless I pull it all the way out. And then I'll have to move that as well. So, this is gonna be interesting. I guess I'm just gonna pull these out and slide it in. I can't really record this on video since I'll be needing all of my hands plus some, but you'll see the finished results, I guess. I had zero faith in my ability to hold this up while screwing it in, reasonably so. So I moved the Power Edge up, since it's on a shelf that can handle the weight, and then set it on top of it, and screwed it in. Now I broke off the cage nut on this side. One of my brand new cage nuts. Just totally twisted the hell out of it and it popped out. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence in these, but the weight seems to be pretty sturdy. So now I just gotta get it booted up and make sure it still works, and project complete. And we have great success. I am booted into it by a team viewer. Didn't have to do anything other than just wait for it to boot up. And all 9 drives are connected and recognized. Other than the fire, that's about as smooth as I could have expected things to go. So other than the fire, this has been a week-long affair at this point. Server transplanted from old case to new case, way quieter than the smaller server. Like that's not a problem at all to leave running, and I could probably make it quieter if I wanted to. Connected to it, everything seems recognized, so as long as it doesn't randomly shut down again and nothing else catches fire, I mean it didn't really catch fire, but sparks, we're good. So, hope you enjoyed this very long and very weird server vlog for part 2. If you want to keep seeing more, keep hitting the like button. We got a huge response on the first one, so I appreciate that, and we'll keep this little adventure going. Thank you for watching, comment, like, subscribe. See you next time.